I think I take my number one ally with me personally, knowing that it would be a close vote instead of a person that I can knowingly beat, who I feel I could normally beat. And the reason why I would take the closer vote is because when you play, you want to play the best. I don't want to play knowing that, this is going to be, more easy. I want to walk in that room and I want to earn it. So, and I believe that, I have that when I walk in a room, I can close the deal. So long as I have an audience, long as I can sit in front of somebody, I can sell myself and I could get the votes.
So there's two ways that I look at this. As a player, I take someone I'm not close with because I want the person that I have been close with to be on that jury to give me that vote. And who doesn't want to win with a knockout runaway win? That's easy. As a fan, I want to see a close vote. I like the drama. I like the anticipation. But if I'm sitting up there, final two, which mark my words, I will be, I'm not taking any risks when it comes to 750K. So when it comes to the actual gameplay, I'm sitting out my ally so they can give me the vote and get that jury in my favor.
This question, and honestly I've thought about this a lot, and I would choose my strongest ally. Definitely it's easier to take the weakest link, yes, but I believe that it's a way better story to tell if you bring someone who's evenly matched with you. So I would bring the best.
I would definitely take my biggest ally. I'm huge on integrity and I want to make sure that I'm playing the game against the best player.
Depends on how close I am with that ally. Like if we've been tight since day one and, we've gone back and forth saying that, we're going to make a final two out of the agreement or out of the relationship, then I would say I would probably take the close ally and still have faith and confidence that I would win. But if that ally is somebody that, we've been saying that we had a final two, but I don't really feel that strong of a connection to, then I'd probably take the worst player because I wouldn't feel too bad about, harming that relationship in any sort of extent. So I don't know. I guess it sort of depends.
So I don't care if that is someone who I'm close with or someone that I can't stand. If I think I can beat you in the end, you're the person I want to be sitting next to, because ultimately my goal here is to win. And if I hurt my best friend's feelings by evicting them in third place, I'll say my apologies after the show, but I came to play and I came to win.
For sure. I'm pretty sure this happened last season when Xavier actually took Big D and he had like a pact with Azah. And I'm pretty sure Cody did that with Enzo and Nicole, so I guess this happened a bunch. As far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure Cody, Cody, what's his last name? California or something, took Nicole rather than Enzo or whatever. Sorry, I'm going into the semantics of that. But I would totally 1,000% take whoever I can beat. Let's be honest. I think that's the most important thing. It would be a little heartbreaking I guess for like a minute, but then if you walk away with $750,000, like who cares in the end? So yeah, totally. I would take the person I knew I could beat.
This is a tough question. If I have the option of taking my close alliance to the finals or taking somebody that's not as close, but I have an upper hand against, this is a tough question. I think I would do whatever favors my game, and if that means taking somebody that I'm not very close with and having a chance of winning that huge amount of money, I'll do that, because at the end of the day, this is a game.
I've heard this question before. It's an all-time question. And for me, right now, not being in the game, I'm 100% taking the person that I know I will beat in the end. Now, I realize all that could change once you get into the Big Brother house and you're building these relationships for 3 months. But as of right now, I'm 100% taking the person that I can beat.
So this is a tougher question for me because I'm a loyal person and I plan on making, deep relationships and friendships during this game. But anybody who's watched Big Brother knows you have to take somebody to the end or get close enough to the end that, really doesn't have a chance against you. If I play a strong game and I have a partner who's extremely, loyal to me, plays a strong game too, I want to get as far as I can with that person. But at the end, if there's somebody who kind of floated by, per se, as a floater, I'm definitely going to take them. At the end of the day, I'm here to win this money for me and my family.
I would probably bring my top ally with me only because I like a challenge and I'm loyal. So I feel like if we both did a good game, then why not go ahead and risk it all?
I
believe that this question's really tough to be answered right now, since like I'm not in the house, I'm not living that moment. But for now, I think I would pick like someone that it's that I don't really like it and I know it I'm gonna win over. By the end of the day, that's why I'm here.
When it comes down to the decision of taking my final two or the third place player who I will most likely beat, I'm definitely going to take the third place player. That at least is my strategy going into this. I'm an emotional person, so I may change my mind as I grow closer, but I'm going to try to stay in that game zone and know that friendships will always come after the show. I'm here to win the money, and I'm going to vote out whoever is going to try to take the money away from me. So I will take the less likely person to win with me, no matter who it is.
So easy. I would bring the person I can beat. This is Big Brother. This is a game. I'll have the rest of my wonderful life to be friends with the person that I'm close with. I will explain myself in depth. But no, this is Big Brother. This is a game. I'm going to bring the weakest player with me. End of discussion.
The person that I have a better chance to beat. That would break my heart and I would be really sad about it. But the whole point of this is that I'm trying to win this money and it's a game. So I'm going to do everything that I can to put me in the best predicament to do that. So I think that I would be taking not my closest ally, but the person I think that I can beat. Ugh. Don't hate me, America. Gosh.
Number one ally all the way to the end, because I'm very confident that I will play a good game this season. I'll still be able to beat them when it comes down to it.
I've watched a lot of seasons of Big Brother. One of my favorite players, two, is actually Derek and Derek and Xavier, because both of them have had a similar game to me, and they stand out the most out of everybody. I've seen a lot of good players, but them two, they stood out because they had such tunnel vision as to what they came in the house to do, what they were going to do, and they stayed the course on what was going to happen, no matter what. This is what's going to take place. I'm going to do this. This is what's going to happen. And you saw it through the whole season. And to me, that was like a flawless. I've never seen too many flawless seasons, and those two people had great flawless seasons to me.
Ooh, so I watched season 20. Of course, I watched 23. That's actually what got me into Big Brother. And season 3 is one of my absolute favorites. Some of my favorite players would be Danielle R, obviously just an absolute mastermind who should have won her season. I'm glad we sequestered juries now because that's who I plan to model my gameplay after. And I love Janelle. I'm really obsessed with women in this game who are just bold, brazen, and aren't afraid to go after what it is what they want, aren't afraid to go after what it is that they want. And I love how Janelle was not afraid to be a bubbly, girly personality while also dominating competitions. I like that these women that I'm thinking of never sacrificed who they actually are and still played a fabulous game.
I just finished watching season 6 of Big Brother Canada, which was pretty good. And I also watched Big Brother. Some of my favorites are Big Brother season 20. Last season was great too. I really do like Tyler C from season 20 and Angela. They're so cute. They're little like romance now outside of the show. But I really like Tyler C's energy and his character because I feel like it is kind of similar to me as a person. We're both like leaders, but then we're also like super carefree and fun in the house. He was like a diplomat when people were fighting and arguing. So I feel like we're very similar in that way.
My favorite seasons are definitely going to be season 16, season 17, and season 23. I love Derek from season 16. He was a sergeant in the police force, and as you all may or may not know, I was a police officer for 10 years, and that's something that I'm not going to tell any of the house guests. And I love Xavier for his gameplay as well. He was able to play a game with a lot of respect, a lot of integrity, and then of course Tiffany and Nicole are two of my other favorite players.
Cool. So I've definitely watched around 6 seasons. So I've watched season 6, season 12, season 16, season 20, a little bit of 21, and then season 23. My favorite Big Brother players have been Donnie from season 16. I just think that he was such a beautiful personality, like a very caring person. But of course, Derek played the best game in that season. Hayden, of course, from season 12, played a great game and made sure and ensured that he pretty much won based off of the moves that he made. Out of season 20, Tyler was definitely my favorite, even though he lost. And then season 23, of course, Xavier held it down. So those would be my favorite players from those seasons that I've watched.
So I've watched every season of Big Brother. That includes Celebrity Big Brother, Over the Top. I even watched some international versions. So I love this game. And as far as my favorite players go, I've always loved bold players who are willing to make moves, not afraid to go against the house. So Janelle is my all-time favorite. I love her. She's a comp beast, and she's given us some of the most iconic moments in Big Brother history. I also really love Kaser. I think Janelle and Kaser are my favorite duo. But I also really love and appreciate a lot of the strong, badass women who have played the game as well, like Rachel Riley, Danny Donato, Danielle Reyes, Nokomis from BB5, and as well as Rennie Martin for that entertainment from BB10. And Brittany Haynes, her diary room sessions are unmatched.
Okay, let's see. I've watched 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So I'm like 6 seasons deep. And then I've seen like a bunch of episodes from other seasons. But as far as my catalog goes, basically like those 6 core seasons, I think Rockstar is an absolute queen. I think the same for Christy Murphy. I love her. Let's see. Those are 2 key. Oh, Tyler is, I'm probably the biggest fan out of anyone to play. Tyler Crispin. That Crispin's last name, right? Yeah, he's like super cool. I totally look up to him. And then like Cody's classic. Nicole is like, she's pretty cool. And yeah, then the classic David Alexander, who is just an absolute icon in my eyes. So definitely that core group.
I've watched a couple of seasons, actually a lot of seasons, in my opinion. I've watched season 16, season 12, season 10, season 21, 20. You know, I've jumped around all seasons. But my favorite player would definitely be Derek from season 16. This guy is just tremendously smart. And he's just like a puppet master. That's actually what I call him. He's a puppet master. He's absolutely great. And after that, I would say Cody, because, you know, if Cody was not in Derek's season, I can definitely see him winning as well. So just him ending up in Derek's season, I think that's why he didn't get a chance to win. But if he was in a different season, he would win easily. So definitely Derek, number 1, and number 2, Cody from season 16 as well.
So I started watching Big Brother pretty consistently around season 16 and on. I've seen some older seasons. There's some classics, a little bit unfiltered in those early days, like season 6 with Kaser and Janelle. But as far as my favorite players, I'm going to have to go with Tyler Crispin. I think he is an amazing player. I want to replicate his game where he's just friends with everyone. He had final 2 deals with half the house and no one knew about it. I think he's an all-time player, and I think I can kind of replicate that game style.
Yeah, so I've been watching Big Brother since middle school, so probably around 11, Big Brother 11, 12, all the way through. I actually recently went back and watched Big Brother season 2 and 7 and absolutely fell in love with Chilltown. And it's kind of funny because I don't think me and Dr. Will are very similar per se, but I loved his gameplay, especially in season 2 when there was no veto competitions, and he still somehow managed to get through and win when, you know, he definitely shouldn't have. So definitely Chilltown, definitely Dr. Will. And then guys that are similar to me and where I'm from, like Enzo, the Meow Meow is hysterical. And then Cody too. Also love those 3 guys.
Pretty much all the seasons, but I would have to say my top players would have to be Derek from season 16, Cody from season 19. I would have to say Tiffany from season 23, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me right now.
I watched the last one, and my favorite player, it's of course the winner. Xavier. I don't know how you guys say his name, but he was my favorite because he's like, I see so much of myself in him, like the way that he treated people and the way that he did, like the clear way that he did his game, like trading like favors, and you know, I liked him a lot.
I've seen every Big Brother season, even Canada. I've seen every single season. I've been obsessed with the show since day one. I was there watching it when I was like 14 in 2000, watching it. And my favorite players of all time, easily Dan Giesling, Casey Clark, Brett from BB20, Janelle, Brittany Haynes, Dr. Will, obviously. But I keep it concise. Dan Giesling, because he was very strategic and very socially intact with everyone in the house. And I think he played up his social game, and then he started winning comps when he absolutely needed to. And the same goes for like Casey Clark and all the people I just named, who I absolutely love. The list is too long. I'm sorry. I'm a huge fan.
I have watched every single season of Big Brother since I was 10 years old, day one, season one. I have so many favorite players. I couldn't even begin to mention them all, but my absolute favorite, and I think I'm biased because I kind of want to be your best friend. So if you're watching this, hear me out. Nicole Anthony. I love her. She has a heart of gold. She's fun. She was loyal. She just played an amazing game. In mainly her first season, but she did a great time on her All-Star season as well. I think she's awesome and one of my favorite players for sure.
I have watched season 23, season 16, season 10, and then I watched Big Brother Canada season 6. And my favorite players, I really liked Nicole from season 16. I understand that a lot of people don't like her like after that season or something, but for whatever reason, I really liked her. I thought that she had a really strong social game. I liked her personality. I thought she was a fun person to have in the house. Something that I always think about is like, yeah, I'm trying to win this game, but also like, who would I want to have in the house just as like a fun person that I enjoy being around, because, we're stuck with each other. And so I think that's a huge, huge part of the game too, is just like, who do I actually want to be stuck in this house with? And I think Nicole would have been really fun.
I've seen every season of Big Brother, and some of my favorite are very powerful females. And I would say it would be Janelle, Brittany, and Casey.
HOH is targeting one of my closest allies. Do I go with the house, or do I make waves for that person to stay? I think it would all depend on how much I need that person in the game for my longevity. Is that person a shield to me? Can that person be offered up, at this particular point? I think it all depends on what stage in the game that you are before you start, eating away people who are actually in tune with you, because you eat away your number one alliance or someone who's close to you, then you're by yourself. And then you're looking to try to build up again. And that is a short window of time that you have, and anything could happen in that time. So I would honestly have to say it all depends on what stage in the game that we're at for me to go ahead and go along with the house and vote them out.
Well, obviously, if I haven't won the veto, I think I need to look at the rest of the landscape. Keeping the HOH happy can only get you so far, because that person loses power the very next week. And if this ally is one of my stronger allies, I'm going to go ahead and send waves throughout the house to flip that vote. And who doesn't like a little bit of drama and power shift in the house?
So I would definitely make an attempt to flip the vote while still being inconspicuous. I think it's definitely attainable. You can manipulate someone into saving your ally. It's happened so many times over in past seasons, and I know I could do it this season.
If the HOH was voting to evict one of my allies, it just depends on when it happens during the game. If it's in the first part of Big Brother, I definitely would want to go with the house, just not to create waves in the beginning. But if it were towards the second half of the game, you're thinking about jury management. So for me, I would definitely want to make waves and figure out what I was going to do for my end game.
If the HOH is targeting a close ally of mine and they're not in my alliance, then I got to try to flip the vote, right? I got to try to make sure that I can keep that ally of mine in the house as much as I possibly can. However, if they're in my alliance and my alliance is all in agreement that ally of mine has to go, then unfortunately I probably have to go with the house and vote for that member, unless, I'm cool with maybe giving a sympathy vote and everybody knowing that, hey, we were close. Just want to make sure it wasn't unanimous.
If a close ally of mine is on the block, I'm going to do everything that I can to save them without jeopardizing my own game too much. I'm willing to stick my neck out there and try to get a feel for the house, try to flip some votes. Ultimately, if it's a lost cause and there's nothing I can do, I'll still vote for them to stay. but I probably wouldn't push so hard that the target gets shifted onto my back, but I'm definitely willing to stick my neck out if I need to.
I would try ideally to cut out a deal with HOH, be like, I don't even know if this is a smart move, but I feel like this would play to my benefit, where I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this for you. You're HOH. And ideally, this is a strong player. If it's like one of like the bigger players in the house, I kind of show them my loyalty by, I guess, hurting someone I'm close with and then gaining a new ally. If it wasn't like a strong player, just a random person, I would definitely go with the person I am closest with. But yeah, no, if it's a strong player as HOH that I can make an ally by voting with the house, I would probably tell them, let them know. And then I think it would all work to my benefit in that case.
In this game, if I make someone an ally, that means I need to stick with the person. So if an HOH is coming for my ally, I'll try everything in my power to keep my ally safe. So if that means going against the HOH, but not directly, of course, indirectly, but keeping my ally in the game, I'll definitely do that. So whatever I need to do to keep my ally in the game, I will.
Gosh, this is so difficult. And this is where Big Brother greats are able to set themselves apart by able to subtly manipulating the HOH in their favor. Personally, I think I might go with the majority and try not to make any waves, because as soon as you start making waves, you become a target, and that's what I'm trying to avoid.
So I'm definitely here to cause a little bit of chaos, especially when it helps me and helps my team. So it's, or my alliance per se. So it's something where if I gotta, puppet master a little bit to try and help one of my boys or a girl that, is in my alliance get off the block, it's definitely something I'm going to do. I don't want to be too pushy, something where I could get my own kind of head cut off, but definitely something where I'm going to go to bat for my team, my personal game, and, maybe possibly cause a couple waves to try and help my personal game.
It depends on how early in the game it would be, but I would, if it was early in the game, then I would go with the HOH and go with the house, so that way I make them happy, only so I can stay in the game a little bit longer. But if it was at the end of the game, I would definitely make some big waves, because it would be time to get some people out the house.
I will definitely try to change their mind and twist like the vote. I think, as I said before, like this game is about life, and we're gonna be there. And I think like when we get close to someone, we have like to stand up for each other,
HOH is targeting the close ally of mine. I'm going to do whatever I can to flip the vote to make sure that it helps my game. I'm there to win the money for me, not my alliance, not the house. So I will do what I have to do to try to convince and manipulate the HOH. And I think people are forgetting the HOH has no power after putting people up. That's it, unless there's a twist in the house. Other than that, the HOH has zero power, and it's not about their decision anymore. That person has made their decision, and now it's up to the house. And so it will be up to me to try to flip the vote to help me out.
I don't think you have to make waves while trying to flip a vote. I think that's the key, right? How can you flip the vote without having to make waves? I'm a clinical hypnotist. I'm going to play a deeply psychological game. That means minimizing the resistance of the house guests around me. So I want things to happen in ways that do not feel like chaos, right? Chaos is bad. Chaos means they look at Brittany and they target me. So I would want to flip the vote, but in a way that feels very seamless, that feels very natural, that doesn't even seem like it was my idea at all, that it just was how it was naturally going to go. Although we'll know that the vote was flipped.
I'm going to try to flip the vote and I'm going to try to flip the vote with the HOH as well. Like I'm going to talk to the HOH. I'm going to be crystal clear, but at the end of the day, like I got to do what's right for my game, and that having an ally in the house with me is super important, because I could be the next target. I could be the next person going home if I don't have my ally. And so I would definitely try to flip the house.
If the HOH is going after a close ally of mine, I will do everything in my power to keep them in this house.
I would throw a competition. Basically, the reason why I would throw a competition is if it's going to put me in a better position for the upcoming week. And I knew I had guaranteed safety in going into it, say it's HOH, but it's more important for me to win the HOH next week before I win it this one. So yeah, I would throw the competition and probably throw it to someone who's one of my allies, just to make sure that we're good, and also to give more guarantee that we're together in this.
Absolutely. I do know that I have a lot to prove. I have a handful of competitions pretty early on that personally I know I need to win to prove my worth and strength to other people in the house. When it comes to absolutely dominating competitions, that's just not necessary for me to get far in the game. I would much rather be a player that has more social power and can make things happen in the house without being HOH, instead of being HOH and seeing all my power crumble because somebody has more social power than me. That's the easy thing. I'm throwing those comps.
I feel like in order to be a super strong player, you have to at times. And I would do that to, one, ensure my safety. You have to be a team player at the end of the day. If someone really wants it, you got to give it to them. But yeah, it's just part of the game.
It just depends who I'm aligned with and if it benefits my game in the end.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely throw a competition if need be. The reason for me specifically is because I think off of the jump, people are going to probably think of me as a physical threat for competitions. So I do not want to increase the target on my back or make it any worse than it already is walking into the house. So I'm going to win competitions strategically when necessary, whether it be HOH or veto. If there's any power competitions, I'm not throwing those at all because I want as much power as possible. But yeah, that would be my perspective on that.
The only scenario in which I could see myself throwing a competition was if I was HOH and had a backdoor plan with 2 pawns on the block and the veto came down to me and my 2 pawns. I think that's the only way that I would feel comfortable enough throwing a competition, let one of my nominees pull themselves off the block and throw at my backdoor target, getting a little bit less blood on my hand without having to use the veto myself. But ultimately, if I'm not safe, I want to win the competition because that's the only way to guarantee your safety in the house.
I think about this every single time I see someone throwing a competition where, like, usually they only throw a competition if they really have to or if it's really going to work in their benefit. So I'm playing this game to get to the end. So if I see that, for instance, someone close to me is about to win HOH and then it's like us in the final 2 and I can play next week and know that I'll be safe this week if they win, I'd probably throw it just for them. And I mean, I definitely want to win as many HOHs as possible, but if throwing one can help my game in the long run, I think it goes without saying that I would totally go for it.
Definitely throw a competition because I'll do whatever favors my game. If throwing a competition is what's required to stay in the house or is what's required to favor my game, I'll definitely do that. So I can see myself throwing a competition.
That's another tough one. So I'm a very competitive person. So as of right now, if it's going to help my game, I would say I would throw a competition. But once I'm actually there competing, I have a feeling it's going to be very hard for me to throw competitions. And I think it depends on how far into the competition we are, right? If it's down to me and one other person that's in my alliance, at that point, I would feel totally comfortable throwing the competition if I know I'm safe.
Yeah, I've said this. It's going to be tough for me to throw a competition because, I'm very competitive coming from a athletic background, being a coach. It's, hard for me not to want to win. And it's something where, but I have to be smart. If it's something where it really does not benefit me, and if I do need to throw a competition, I've seen Big Brother and some people that have went to throw competitions, it puts themselves in a bad spot, especially if they do it poorly. So if I do throw a couple competitions here and there, I plan to be very, methodical about it and very planned out. So it's something where if I do it, I think it'll be very hard to tell, but I'm hoping not to. But it's Big Brother, anything could happen.
I absolutely would throw a competition if it's best for my game because, I don't know what who is going to be doing what. So sometimes it's best to throw a competition so that way you can stay safe in the house.
I can't say that right now. All those questions are really complicated to say right now in the hotel room. But I believe I would lose a competition or, put myself in a way that I cannot be really seen at the beginning, lay low, something like that.
I will never throw a competition. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to go through what we've gone through for the audition process to be here. I've waited 10 years of auditioning to be in this house, and I will never throw a competition. If I do, I'm going to fake it because I think I'm going to fall down. I think I can't win this comp, so I'll make it seem like I'm throwing it because I don't want it to seem like I dropped or whatever it may be. But I'll only do it strategically. I'll say it out loud, but I'm not actually throwing it. It's just me not being able to complete.
I've never tried because I've never been in the Big Brother house. Now I am. My strategy is to try as hard as I can to do the best that I can in these comps. And if I find that I'm just winning them one after the other, and this is just such a piece of cake, just like it seemed back when I was watching TV at home, then I might cool it and I might start throwing some stuff. There's also the very real possibility that this is a really tough thing to win, in which case I might need to do my best at every competition and see which ones I can win. So I'm going to be adaptable in that way and see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. I plan on throwing competitions in the beginning because I don't want to be seen as a threat up front, because a lot of people, they'll try to eliminate you quickly. So I'll definitely throw competitions in the beginning so that people don't view me as a threat. And then as the game goes on, I'm going to want to come in stronger and try to win some competitions, and need be, if it's what I feel is right for my alliance and I will throw competitions later on, but I probably won't be doing that because the further along I get, the less I'm going to be trusting people.
I would never throw a competition because I am here to play. However, if there's a deal to be made, I might just take it.
If I'm HOH, I always believe that, voting out the players who, aren't, that you think that you could easily beat, or they're not anybody who you think is a threat, is to me a waste of time. Let's get out the big players ASAP. And I may be someone they think is a big player, but I'm going to play I'm going to do what I got to do to stay in the house. But yes, I'm voting out the person who is absolutely a threat to me, and the big people need to go first so we can even the playing field. Let's make it a fair game, because there's no way to get out a strong player in the end. It's too difficult. So get them out straight away.
Nominating people the house wants on the block is so boring. I'm going big. I'm nominating people who are strategic players so I can get them out of the house, especially if it's pre-jury. If this is someone who's not going to be voting for me on the jury, I want them out so I can go ahead and build strong relationships with the people in the house so that jury is curried to my favor.
You have to go for the big players. And it's sad to say, because those players are usually the ones that you probably have the best connections with, but you have to get them out if you want to win.
I definitely think that I'm going to want to make big moves. I think that when you're making big moves in the game and people see what you're doing, especially if you're aligned with the right people, you're definitely going to position yourself in a way that will bring you closer to the end. So I think it all just depends on where my gameplay is at during that time.
If I'm HOH and I had a choice between a big player or, whoever the house wants, to me, I'm going with whatever the alliance that I formed at that point has agreed upon targeting for that week. The reason for that being is because I want to make sure that my alliance is tight. We have a lot of trust. There's a lot of loyalty there. There's a lot of communication. And if I'm HOH, I want to make sure that I solidify my position in the alliance by going with what the alliance says. So if the house wants what the alliance wants, then I'm going with the house. But if the house wants somebody else opposing the alliance, then I'm definitely going with my alliance.
I think the types of players I target throughout the game really will depend on when I'm in power. At the beginning of the game, I want to align with other people who are strategic players, who are willing to make moves, because that's the kind of game I want to play, and I want to surround myself with those same types of players. So early on, I might take out people who I perceive as floaters, or who I don't think are there to really play the game and play hard to win, because they're not allies I think I could count on. Now, farther down the road, I don't care what the house wants, really at any point in the game, but farther down the road, I'll definitely be taking out those bigger strategic players, trying to make a resume for myself when I no longer need them. But I think based on how I want to play the game, it would be more beneficial for me to play with players who are strategic and willing to make moves than to take them out early and let floaters kind of clump together at the end and take me out potentially.
The tyranny of myself being HOH, just being realistic, would be going after all of the top players, but that is probably not the best thing to do. I think ideally, I guess we'll see if this happens very soon, but I would want to win the first HOH so that I can get everybody who I want in my corner. I think whoever wins the first HOH really sets themselves up for something great, unless they absolutely blow what they're trying to do, in turn putting up all the strong players so that the next week everybody's against them. So I'm definitely going to try to align myself with the bigger players and just play it safe at least, or that's the plan.
I'm going to target whoever I need to favor my game. So if that means targeting big strategic players, I will do that. Whatever favors my game. If that means targeting weaker players, I'll definitely do that as well. So whatever benefits my game.
I think if you're going to target a big strategic player, it has to be a backdoor. Because if they won the power of veto and they come back in the game, they're 100% gunning for you. And if they're good at strategy, they're going to be able to rally the troops and get you out. So I think if I win HOH, especially early on, I'm going with the two maybe outcasts of the house with the possibility of a backdoor with a big strategic threat.
So I love this question. It's different because you're a fan. You're sitting there in your living room like I have for so many seasons. And you're like, why aren't you going after them? Why aren't you going after them? And I think it's a little bit different when you're in the house. It's something where, like I said, I want to entertain. I want the fans to have a blast this season. I want to have a blast. And, it's something where, like I said, being a competitor, again, I could see myself, causing a little bit of chaos, throwing up some people maybe earlier on. I think timing is everything. So timing of when you throw those, big threats on the block is important. You can't miss. If you're going to swing, you got to hit it. Got to hit a home run, get them out. Because if not, you'll probably be in trouble at next week. So I plan on, being very strategic about when I go about big moves like that. But I do plan on making some big moves, some backdoors. Big brother fans love that. I love that. So yeah, I would love to, make some big moves in this house and get after some big threats.
Would nominate a big target, because if I'm not taking risks, then what am I doing in Big Brother?
I believe I will go to the big people, and target whoever I don't feel comfortable with, or whoever I see as a high competitor against me.
I'm definitely going to target strategic players when possible. If it's early in the game, we all know as fans how that goes. You usually put up the two people who dropped first in the first comp, or whatever that situation was. You get out, or you put up the easier people first in the first couple of weeks so that you don't get a huge target on your back. But when time comes, I'm not waiting for week 8, week 10 to put up these huge players. That's way too late in the game. I think week 6 is about the sweet spot to start targeting bigger, strategic, physical people.
Of course, you always want to get a pulse of where the house is at. But again, it comes back to how can I further my game without, I want people, when I win HOH, I want people to be like, breathe a sigh of relief. Great, Brittany's HOH. This is a fun week. I don't have anything to worry about. I want to keep it lighthearted and non-threatening, right? So that they begin to associate relief with Brittany and power. And so I think we have to see kind of where the house is at. Ideally, I want to target the smartest and the strongest players first. Those are my biggest competition. So if those remain in the game, that's definitely going to be the direction that I'm going to be trying to go. But I think you also have to recognize as HOH, you don't get to decide who leaves. You only get to nominate. And you only get to put up a replacement if there's, if veto is used or if you need to break a tie with the votes. So I think most HOHs vastly overestimate their power. And I kind of want to set things straight a little bit and really recognize what role I play as HOH. I think it's much stronger to recognize what you can gain from everyone remaining in the house as HOH, as opposed to deciding who's leaving. Anyone who's leaving besides me is a win in my book.
I think I'm going to do both. So I think I'm going to be nominating a big risky player and also someone the house wants off, because it kind of appeals to both sides. But if that big risky player wins the veto, then I'm going to put up another big risky player and backdoor them, because I want to get the big strong players, the great competitors out of the house immediately. So my goal is not to get out those little people that are laying low. I want to get out the big competitors ASAP.
I think I'm going to take it week by week, but most likely I will go after strong players because the least of them in the house, the better for me.